right? I tell people I have a pair of Meta glasses and I've lost fun fact, I've lost 2 pairs.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
I hope whoever's got them, they're enjoying them at least anyway, because they are great. And but I've lost 2 pair, and my wife has banned me from getting another pair. But however, it's amazing to me the advancements in technology and like life. How do you say it? It's a quality of life piece that I had. Like I would be walking through DC and I just be like, "Hey, Meta, what is the International Monetary Fund, and tell me more about it." Or I'll go by and just be curious, and it fed my curiosity about things, and it'll help me figure out ways to learn. We traveled to an art museum, and I was like, "Hey, tell me about this piece of art," and would take a picture and it'd say it, and I was like, "Well, what do you think was going on in this time of the world that would influence the way that this was, painted, or this artist was painting?" And boy, it would tell me everything. And so I say this because, now you have surgeons wearing these type of optics to where you've got another surgeon viewing it from that lens of those glasses as a backup set of eyes for that surgeon who's there in there. Mm-hmm. I've seen screens in hospitals where you've got another physician and these cameras that are like zooming in on surgery, and they're another backup set of eyes on a surgery, and watching the technique and seeing and being able to read the blood pressure monitors and things like that. It is the lifestyle gadgets and the healthcare gadgets and the business widgets and everything that is going to advance or help small business and medicine and technology that will be spawned from this. And the reason I say this is somebody manufactures those Meta glasses, the Oakley glasses, all the ones that are there. Why can't it be us? Because right now we have a direct line to folks who make decisions at Meta. I say we, LED, the Economic Development Organization. How can we build upon those relationships and to say that all of the products that are spawned through AI, how can we manufacture those here? You may hate a data center, but you love your Meta glasses. You may hate your data center, but you love to say, "Hey Siri, call my so-and-so." You may hate a data center, but you love to create AI-generated images to talk about how much you hate the data center. All of these things are using that technology that lives within that data center that fuels how business moves today.
It's not lost on me that the people complaining about the data center the most are complaining about it on a Meta-owned social media site.
Look, DJ, I don't. Sometimes I have to. Don't take me, having, kind of laughing about this as a me that I don't hear people's concerns. People are really concerned for whatever reason, and I get it, but I can't say that I hate on clouds because they give me blisters, but I keep buying on clouds, right? And there's other shoes out there that could fit me. Shout out to Fleet Feet that fit me right. But you know what I'm saying? We have to realize that you can be loud and right, but you can't be loud and wrong.
Right.
So if
make that argument, if you come to a city council meeting,
you can be loud and wrong, but you don't be afraid, don't be mad when somebody laughs at you. But we have to realize, DJ, we go through this with every new disruptive technology. Society goes through this. Remember, take it all the way back to when the combustion engine was built. You can Google it. It's going to cost you more data and AI, just to give you an idea. They were calling it the devil's car because it was going to do away with horse and buggy, right? Every new disruptive technology, society goes through this, and that's why I'm like, we're going to be okay, right? We're all going to be okay. The way we get through this is not, not trying to destroy your fellow man, right? It is, if you want to have a conversation about it, let's have a conversation about it. I will be the first to admit the things that I don't know, right? There's lots of things that I don't know, but don't all come at it with it's all or nothing, attitude, because if you're not open to being proven wrong, then I can tell you in an instant, you and I probably aren't going to talk for very long, because I've been proven wrong on a lot of things. Like you said earlier, I got into City Hall and I said, like, well, this is what we're going to do. And then you have legal and they go, oh, you can't do that. There is a law against that. And you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
Make
when
sense.
people come
Makes
back
sense.
and said, hey, Mayor, you're supposed to do this. And I was like, well, I got in real quick and found out I can't do that because there's a law that requires us to do it this way, right? Or an ordinance that was passed through city council years ago. And so you've got to be open to new things. You've got to stop listening to, again, I knew we were cooked whenever you started seeing outside groups from around the country start to come in. I knew instantly when they couldn't pronounce Ouachita Parish. I'm like, oh boy, they're coming in to tell everybody how horrible data centers were, that we were cooked. But look, I just want to let everybody know that, that you have concerns. They are valid concerns. We have taken those who, we have taken those into account, leaders, but our job right now, in my opinion, and I could be wrong and I could be cooked because of it, but look, I may be wrong.
It's the third time you've been hanging out with your kids too much.
But my job right now, as I see it, is to be able to connect our people to the opportunities that are here, that are real.
Yeah.
They're not AI opportunities.
No.
They are real jobs to connect folks. And I'm so happy to say that I know a lot of people who have been benefiting from this and will continue to benefit from this, but recognizing the concerns about, hey, is there a way that we can have this conversation about things that are coming to our area and continue the conversation about how we grow. But we can't pray for rain and not be able to deal with a little bit of messiness, because we prayed for rain and man, we got a lot of rain. But this is a wonderful opportunity for us.
I agree. It's one of those things, when I was at City Hall, the conversations that come up all the time. Why can't we get jobs here? Why can't we get jobs here? Why can't we have businesses located here? Why can't the honest to God truth that a lot of people don't want to see is that a lot of this, like the community was on a kind of a downward slope, and there was a lot of things that needed to be changed, a lot of things that need to be fixed, and a lot of little factions that were doing things that needed to be broken up because they were doing it in their own way, and there were things that the ship needed to be turned back in the right direction. Yep. And because was it we were a pace setter city in the 40s or 50s back in that
Forbes wrote that, pace setter city.
And there's just opportunities were being pushed out because things were being done in a way that excluded a lot of people. Yeah. And so when you got in there and change, I've had this conversation with a couple of people in my generation, like, well, we need to, there were tables created. We need to create our own tables. Like, no, we don't need to create any tables. You need to bring in and hire the best people for the job, period. Yep. Hands down. I was like, you know why this company was hired? Because they could bring us this. You know why this company was hired? Because they could bring us this. Yep. And it was because it was things that were needed. And there's a reason that companies are starting to grow and expand along I-20 and why it's a good idea to develop that I-20, that business district there. There's a lot of opportunity that's starting to show itself because they feel like they can do business here. Yeah. Part of that communication with LED is like, look, it finally starts to feel this way, but it needs to look this way too.
Correct.
And and that's kind of what happened.
And you and I have both been big advocates for this area. We have been pounding the drum when it was talking shop, DJ. Talking shop. We're
That's
back
right. I was going to make. I was going to make.
Got the band back together, but the whole point behind talking shop was about giving people reasons to be proud of their own community. We just got through hosting. By the way, did you get an invite to DLI?
I have a feeling it went to my City of Monroe email address because I text C last night. Hey, what are y'all doing? I didn't get a response.
Yeah. Anyway, so Delta Leadership Institute is something that DJ and I have both been through. Brian Creekmore, I didn't see you either, so I guess you didn't get the invite either. However, It was the first time that the Delta Leadership Institute, that's part of the Delta Regional Authority, it's 8 states that make up the Mississippi Delta, and we had leaders from across those 8 states in Monroe and West Monroe. I think they're in West Monroe today.
I'm going to go try to find them. I'm class of 19,
Yeah,
class
21.
of 21.
Yep. And you have business leaders and community members. The guy I went through right now is the chief economic developer. He is the secretary of economic development for Arkansas.
There we go.
And like all of these, and now there's people who are senior staffers for congressional members. So there's a lot of folks that with a lot of influence and open doors for many of us as now in leadership roles to help us move our cities forward. So the point I'm trying to make is they were in town for the very first time in their existence to visit Monroe and West Monroe. Typically, they'll go to New Orleans or typically they'll go to Baton Rouge. They came to Monroe and West Monroe. Everybody in that program was like, "You've got to be kidding me." They've been to like 3 or 4 other cities through other states. They're like, "You guys have something special." They're like, look, they're staying in downtown in Hotel Monroe. They're like, they were wherever they were staying last. They were just at and look, no offense, it was a Holiday Inn Express, and then they come to Hotel Monroe, and it's just like, what?
Yeah, some of those communities you go to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only option.
So they're coming here and they're walking and they're seeing. They get to see 2 mayors from across the river sitting next to one another, talking about how proud we are of one another and how we work together. And other leaders, and like we showed up and I look out and there's Mayor Talbert there to support us. And we look out and Mayor Brown sends a text to say, "I'll be there for you, but I've got to go to, my daughter's doing something." And you've got the mayor of Minden that came in to support us. And people are like, how did you all create this friendship and this togetherness, right? And it took a lot of trust and building together trust over broken relationships for whatever reasons. And they're not mine to clear up other than to say, let's work together.
Right.
People were so amazed at how regionally we were all working together and how we were complementary of one another. And we were working together on solving broadband. Again, like for those of you out don't know, we're almost 2 years into a broadband where Monroe will be the first city in the Gulf South to solve the broadband issue in their city, to give access to we'll be a 5 gig city in a year and a half.
To every household.
Every house and business. And so we did it in a way because we weren't sitting around waiting for the federal government to bail us out and wait on all this BEAD money that just can't seem to get out the door. Yeah. But we knew that it was a utility that you needed. But anyway, they heard those stories of how we worked together to solve that. They heard they see the growth in both of our downtowns. They see the growth throughout our city. They hear the investments, and they were just so amazed. And they were like, at the end of this, the directors were like, "There's no way that we cannot ever not come back to this region." And you and I were both for years saying, if we only saw our own community through the eyes of those who came to visit to talk about how special of a community we have, that was the whole point of Talking Shop.
I think you and I did see it that way. I've said this a million times.
Because we're outsiders.
Right.
We didn't come from this area.
Right.
And we love Monroe.
Nobody hates Monroe more than Monroe hates Monroe, and it makes absolutely no sense to me. There is not a single person, not
that's
one.
Changing.
Oh, no, it absolutely is
it's
changing. There's not one single person I have met. Now, look, I have friends from South Louisiana that came to school here. Now, look, I love Northeast Louisiana, but I can't live there because I need X, Y, and Z. And I'll be honest, I tell people that the only two reasons that pull at me to not stay here, the only two. One is my mom is one of 11. So my immediate family on mama's side is it's like 100 people. Yeah. It's huge. My family's huge. So they do family get-togethers and stuff all the time. That. And then number 2, getting the random phone call or text message that says, "Hey, we just caught a bunch of shrimp or crabs in Cocodrie. Get some beer, meet us at the house with ball and crabs tonight." Yeah. Like that right there, that fresh seafood. Outside of that, that's it.
He reverted back with balling.
Balling.
Boiling.
Yeah.
But
no, we're not burling.
But DJ, you say that, and I want to go back and talk about that, because when we first got into office, we went through a whole rebranding effort. And Michael Jordan, not the GOAT, but
Yeah.
Michael Jordan that works for
The other GOAT.
The other, yeah. He was with a creative firm that we hired to help the community
Create Lore.
Create Lore, yeah, to go through a community-driven effort to help us rebrand. And Michael made the point. He said there were so many people that just had this poor attitude of their own community, and we all understood earlier that there was this apathy, and it's not just in Monroe. It's really every community about our size.
Yeah.
Monroe, the region, like these smaller communities really have that because this apathy is set in to say, well, this is the best it's ever going to get. And Michael said that, man, there's just a lot of people who didn't really have good things to say about it. Now, fast forward 6 years later, Michael and Andy Chasen, they were recanting a story of some young professionals at a dinner table, and it was a large table, and somebody came up and they kind of had a few like disparaging words to say about this region, and they all gave pushback. And he said, man, this is the first time in like 5 years that we really defended our community. And we know this because I often tell this story too. DJ is at the coffee shop and he sees these really nicely dressed people in suits over in the corner, and he goes up and hits them with a yoink from around here, are you? They're like, no, we're here visiting a client. And, we're having conversations with the community, and DJ's trying to pull it out of them, like, who y'all here to see? And they wouldn't give it up. Long story short, fast forward a year later, I'm sitting at the groundbreaking of the Meta data center, and that dude is up there on stage. He was C-suite guy.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
He's right in the middle of the picture.
Yeah, C-suite guy there.
That was the
now
guy.
He's working for Microsoft, one of their C-suite guys.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny because, and DJ and I will tell you, like I track tail numbers of planes that come into our city that are really nice corporate jets, and I can tell you who's in our community. And people are making decisions on whether or not they're going to spend money in your community based on the conversations they're having or they're listening to. And you never know who you're talking to. Never know who you're talking to. And to know that that these folks are in town making investments to employ our people, to move other people into our own community, right? To be a part of our community, have their kids in our public schools, to have their money spent at our local stores, to be a part of this philanthropic, environment that we have here, to give money to our children's museums, to our nonprofits, to volunteer on their boards, to be community volunteers, to know that I couldn't find a good thing to say about our community. But the fact is, I'll throw it back to you. You choose to live here. Nobody's keeping you here. You're a successful person. You can go work anywhere you want to, but somehow you choose to live here. And I could never understand people who make a choice to live somewhere and continually just bag on their community. But I've never had that mindset. And I don't think I'll ever have that mindset because guess what? I know some really awesome people with some really awesome small businesses here who make their living and have made their living here and love this community. And if I know that the words that come out of my mouth could harm them and their business, it's just not something I'm willing to do.
Well, even to that, so last week played in a ULM football fundraiser golf tournament last Friday.
Yeah.
And there's a coach, new defensive back coach on the team who's from New Orleans, about my age, went to Shaw, school we used to play against, stuff like that.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, right. And we were talking about, back home compared to here. And then I told him, and I tell everybody this, I would put our food in this region up against any other region in the state. And when you say that to somebody from South Louisiana, like, what do you mean? Because, and I will tell you guys, as somebody from South Louisiana, when you're thinking about food, there's only one type, and it's like that Cajun Creole. Like that's the only, okay, there's a steakhouse over here or this, but everybody has that Cajun flair to it.
Yeah.
Up here, you don't really have that.
Yeah.
It's up here, Cajun food is kind of like Indian food. Like there's not that many of them.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, look, if you're looking for really, really good Cajun food, you're going to be hard pressed to find that. But if you're looking for really, really good food, like Taste of India or Athena or Parish. And I was like, have you been to this place? No, I've never even heard of it. I was like, I'm gonna send you a list. Go check this place out. This place. I was like, you can pull into a sandwich shop and you'll get a sandwich that'll change your life.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I bought a restaurant because I loved the Reuben that much.
Yeah.
And I had people that came in and they were once a week, twice a week for the same thing. And it was a New York style deli in Monroe, Louisiana.
Yeah.
And so you can find really, really good cuisine. But I also have people ask me all the time, why do you go to Standard every morning?
Yeah.
And part of that, realtors, if you're watching this, from that economic development world, there's now we have 3 places, but there's 3 places where you can find someone that's not from town that's coming to town. Your best local coffee shop, if you have one.
Yep.
And working in the mayor's office and being 2 blocks away, the best one in Monroe, I would say 7 Square and Standard are your 2 best locals.